Hey, my name is Jonah Fox, and I have aphantasia, the inability to see things in my mind's eye. And when I realized that other people could visualize in their minds and I couldn't years ago, I felt like I had some sort of a deficiency and a deep curiosity to see if this was something that could be trained and developed. And so I read a lot of books and I stumbled upon a practice called image streaming. And in this video, I'd like to share with you what it's actually been like learning to visualize, because now I can visualize, but it's a little hard to control, a little chaotic, but it is working. And so I want to talk about the experience and why it matters to me and why you should care and what I've actually experienced along the way. And I'm going to do that by showing you one of my oil paintings. So this is going to be an oil painting time lapse from a painting that's been inspired by one of my image streaming sessions. So let's go and jump into the video. So if you go out on the internet, and maybe you're watching this from there, you'll find the subreddit Cure Aphantasia. And there's a whole community of people out there that are trying to learn how to visualize. But one thing I see from this community of people is that a lot of people really are struggling and they don't understand, they don't know what they're looking for, and they don't even know if this is possible. And whether you're from that community or not, maybe you have aphantasia, maybe you don't. You might be wondering, is it actually possible to train yourself to be able to visualize? And I can say that, at least for me, that's a resounding yes. Now, I don't know for you. You know, the human brain is incredibly complex, but I found for myself that I was able to learn this, but in the beginning, I really didn't feel like it was possible. So I read the book, The Einstein Factor by Win Wenger. He claims that you can use this particular process to be able to visualize even if you have like zero success. And I followed the instructions and I tried it. And I remember my first week doing this, I felt like a total psychopath. I mean, it's someone put in a YouTube comment recently. It's like speed running schizophrenia. That's kind of what it felt like for a moment there. But what you do is you close your eyes and you kind of wait for these kind of light blobs in your vision that, from what I understand, pretty much everyone can see. It's what defines the hypnagogic state. Sometimes you may see some visuals when you're falling asleep, okay? So the way that I've learned to visualize is through this hypnagogic kind of a screen. And let's just, for the sake of being able to call it something, let's call it agogic visualization. Okay, that's the term that's used in the Cure Aphantasia subreddit. So I'm just going to go and stick with that. So this is different than how people normally visualize. Most people visualize in what people call phantasia. Okay, now what I'm talking about here is actually a totally different kind of visualization. It's called agogic visualization. I personally like using the word liminal visualization because it's kind of like on the borderline between consciousness and unconsciousness. It's really interesting. I'm going to talk through more of it. But anyways, this is the process that is worked upon with the traditional image streaming practice, where you kind of look for these shifting blobs in your vision. And then you start describing them with a lot of detail, a lot of sense detail, right? And so I did this for a couple days, and it was like day 5 or 6, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna give up on this thing. This is stupid. And on day 7, I did something different. I meditated for a long time, and ahead of that, like maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then I started the process. And I was shocked because I actually started seeing some images. So it was at this moment that I realized, oh, okay, this actually is a trainable skill, and I want to experience more of this. And I didn't really get into wanting to learn to visualize because I really wanted something from the experience. Like, I just wanted to experience something that I feel like I should be able to experience because normal people can. And as you can see, I'm an artist, and I thought being able to really imagine things in my mind would potentially really help me. And so I decided to really go for it. And I did it for probably like 2 months straight. And it got really vivid in that first initial season, to the extent where, like, I remember I was making a painting one day, and on my open eye visuals, all of the sudden I saw like a visual of the whole painting coming together, and my mind highlighted the exact brushstroke I was missing. That is just crazy. Like, I've had a lot of these experiences that have just kind of blown me away at how strong and how powerful my mind is. It's just like, this is a circuit that I don't really have on most of the time, and it's not an easy one to turn on. The standard image streaming process of describing things, it's very mentally taxing. It is not easy to do. You can train yourself to do it where it stops feeling so hard, but it's not an easy thing. And I would eventually kind of get tired of the process and I'd take a long break, but I realized that this is doable. And so I've kept coming back to this over the years. And right now I'm exploring it even further. And I'm actually trying out a slightly different method as kind of a means of a warm up. So if you're interested in this, I'll put the link down to the Cure Aphantasia subreddit. This is what that guy calls image streaming 2.0. I view this more as like a visual priming step. This is like a way to get that visual circuit on and really rendering things properly, so that when I actually do traditional image streaming, the images are a little bit more vivid for me. Now, here's one thing that you need to understand about this kind of visualization that I'm learning, is that it is largely driven by unconscious imagery, which means that I can't really manipulate it in the way that people who have normal Aphantasia imaginations can. Like, a lot of people can imagine an apple and then rotate it and do a cross section of it and all these kinds of things, right? But I can't. However, with this style of visualization, I've gotten something that I think most normal people don't get at all from their mind's eye, which is a deep sense of inspiration and novelty and just unique visuals and images and symbolism. And it's really, really fascinating. I got a comment on YouTube here a couple days ago from my last video that asks, what's the point if you can't control your visuals? If you can't build things, if you can't design worlds and scenarios, and it's just a torrent of mumbo jumbo that your subconscious is pouring into you, why bother? And I thought about this for a little bit, and that is really the answer, is that it's fun and it's novel, and it's like your subconscious mind is trying to tell you things. In fact, this painting that you see is kind of like from one of those moments where I feel like my mind was trying to tell me something. So a couple years ago, I was doing one of these image streaming sessions, and I was reading through the book at the time again. And one thing that Win Wenger suggests as you go through this practice is to try, and this is really to like kind of see some cool symbols and try to maybe gain some knowledge from your visuals, is that you try imagining a door, and then you open that door and you see what your mind has to show you when you open that door. Okay. That's the idea. It's like you kind of pose a question, you set up a scene, and then you quickly change the scene and you see what your mind puts in to fill in the blanks. And so I remember I had a visual where I was in this like kind of dimly lit, like kind of dungeon-esque hallway. And I was holding a key. It was this really ornately designed golden key with a red gem at the end. And I really remember it. It's like something it feels like something I really experienced in real life. Like, that's how strong some of these memories are. And so I'm holding this key, and then the image kind of dissipates, because that's a lot of times what happens with this kind of visualization. It's hard to get the images to stay for long periods of time. And so I am doing this, and then I see a lock on the door, and I put the key in the lock in my mind's eye. And again, I can't really control this. So it's like I'm kind of watching a movie and maybe just kind of giving suggestions on where the scene goes, right? And so I open the door, and then the visuals fade again. And then I see that I'm in like a room, and there's a spotlight on the center of the room, and there is a pedestal there, and there's a microphone on the pedestal. And on the microphone, there is a symbol, which is like a bunch of roses and then a dagger on top of it. And I, like, in my mind's eye, I pick up this microphone, and I'm like, someday I'm going to create a project called Blade and Blossom. And it just came to me like all at once. It was like a download, right? Less of something I was trying to physically create, but something like I was tuning myself into and downloading from the universe or something. So aside from being an artist, I'm also a musician. I've experienced this at other times where I was like writing a song, and then all of the sudden I was able to just write a song all in one piece, all of the bridges and sections worked out, the melodies completely all figured out, because I was just songwriting so much and I was so attuned to it. And it kind of felt like I was almost like an antenna picking up a signal. And this feels very much like that, at least for me. And I kind of view this key thing. It's like I have this, area in my mind, this direct connection to some sort of source, divine, subconscious energy, right? And it's like that's what image streaming does for me. It connects me to that energy. And yes, it's unlike normal visualization. You can't use it to maybe solve problems in the way that people normally can, but it's not like it's entirely different. When these visuals get going, it's like this circuit, and once the circuit is running, and sometimes I have to work every single day to get that circuit running again, then I start getting these images all day long when I close my eyes. And if I keep really practicing, especially with the traditional image streaming, and I do longer sessions, then I start seeing the visuals even with my eyes open, which is really interesting. And then something I can turn off. So it's not really a problem. But anyways, it's like anytime I close my eyes throughout the day, I see things that sometimes really surprise me and delight me. And then if I really dig into it, I see these really sometimes profound images and scenes. And it's a massive source of novelty and inspiration. And, it's like we all have this key here. And like, do you want to use it? Do you want to open the door? And for me, I've said yes, and I've been flirting with the idea for years and years, and now I'm finally going to lean in and see what it's like to really go full on this thing and really try learning to visualize and seeing how far I can take it. And I know that it's possible. And at this point, if I want to visualize something, it might take me a couple minutes, but I can get into the state where I can see visuals. And it's not even just visuals, like random scenes. A lot of it is my memories. It's allowed me to dive back into old memories. Now, it's very weird because I can't always choose what memories come up, but the memories do come up, and I see images of those scenes, and all those memories come rushing back to me, and things that I never even thought consciously that I had remembered, like scenes that were from when I was a child, or very quiet moments in certain times of my life that, if you were asked to ask me a question about it, I wouldn't be able to give you an answer. But in these image streaming sessions, they kind of bubble up. And I just think that's beautiful. So, if you have aphantasia, I can't say for you if you should practice this or not. I can't say if it's going to work. But for me, it is working, and it's really delightful. And I've decided that Blade and Blossom idea that I mentioned, that's going to be this channel. I am going to keep exploring this. I'm going to see how far I can take it, and I'm going to make art inspired by what I've experienced along the way, and I hope you learn something. Now, if you have aphantasia, I just want to leave you with this. It is possible to learn to visualize. It may not be like how you expected it. It hasn't been for me, and it is work. It's kind of hard, but it is something that you can develop in yourself, and the rewards from it are actually kind of massive. It might not be the way that how other people use their visualization, but there is a process through this agogic visualization style that you can learn to visualize, and it can really give you a lot of inspiration and fun and novelty in your life, and I'll keep talking about it. If you try this yourself, I'd love to hear if you have any success. And if you're still in that period like I was when I was beginning, where I just couldn't get anything to actually show up, my main tip for you today is make sure that you're relaxed. take the time to really relax into the process. Try some of the exercises that I mentioned in my first video to get that process of your mind going, and just be open to whatever you actually experience. And who knows, maybe you'll be able to turn this circuit on like I have. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.